Thank you very much, Cy, and good morning, everybody. Thanks for listening in. This is day 4 of my thought of the day, and I've been talking about my Uncle Jim and my last visit with him before he passed away with COVID 19 a couple of weeks ago. So I'll just start in with the story. I opened the door, walked in, and closed the door. His room was much darker than usual, and there was no music or TV on. It took me a second or two to get my bearings and recall everything I was just told of what not to do. I walked over to my uncle, who was sleeping. Several times I called out to him, but he did not wake. Fear came over me, but not fear that he had passed, for I could see he was only sleeping. A voice in my head said, "Why don't you just go back to the door where it is safe and pray for him there and let him sleep?" In a second, before I lost my resolve, I picked a mug off his dresser, which I wasn't supposed to touch anything, Rule 1, and started banging it while almost yelling out, "Uncle Jim, it's Alan!" He woke up with a big smile and said softly, "Alan." I was told he did not know how sick he was and that he was dying. In homes here in the UK, there's no oxygen or ventilators and no option of bringing COVID patients to the hospital. So I told him I heard he was sick with a very contagious bug, and that was why I was dressed up like a mad scientist. He laughed, and I could tell how weak he was. I told him we were praying for him and that he needed to really trust in God. I told him the message of Jesus coming to redeem us to be the very children of God through his cross. I reminded him he knew this well from Boys' Brigade till he was in his teens and from his mother, my grandmother, who was a fervent believer. I asked him to respond, and he told me he was trusting in God and gave me 2 thumbs up. He was now sitting up, leaning on his right elbow, and he was smiling. I walked around his bed, pointing out pictures of all the people on his walls that made up his life. I likely broke the second rule of not coming within 6 feet. I intentionally waited until one photo to underscore the great hope. That photo was of his mom and his dad and his brother, who's my dad, and Aunt Nan, who was visiting from the U.S., and himself outside of their home in Knightswood. I told Uncle Jim that believing in God and his Son meant that when we die, we will go to a far better place than this. He will bring us straight away face to face with the Lord Jesus Christ to be with him always. I got a nod and a big smile. I also asked Uncle Jim to look at this last photo, to remind him of the perks of heaven, because everyone in this photo will be there too. He said heaven will be the best place. I realized I was breaking the third and last rule, and I could see Uncle Jim was getting sleepy, and we were past the 15 minutes. I prayed for him that he would be completely healed from this sickness, and he would be carried by the Lord Jesus Christ himself, who lived in him by his Spirit, to a place where there was no more tears, but only joy unspeakable and full of glory. I told him how much I loved him, along with Tricia and the kids and the few people he knew in this world outside of the home. The last image I had of my Uncle Jim is leaning on his right elbow, giving me 2 double thumbs up, saying, "Thank you, Alan. Thank you, Alan." Right there, I had this indescribable sense of pure privilege drop from heaven itself upon me. I don't know a single pastor at the moment who was with a person with COVID whom they could help walk through as they lay dying, and the heartbreaking experience of families separated at the time their loved ones needed them the most. Why I had this chance, only God knows, but I cherish it more than winning any lottery. Thank you so much for listening. Be blessed and keep looking up.